Nimbula, ule Vinaka, Vikimdina, Viokani, ni sema tikumaina ya Vinaka ni kuwa, nitaka ni rongo Vinaka tikoyani na bio liba ni vitala noa, na nongu bata ni tala noa with Dr. T. So a very, very good evening and afternoon for some of you. I think it's still early afternoon for many of you. So greeting everybody wherever you are logging in from. Today we're having a special Talanoa session with a wonderful group. I think it's been a while that I've have a Talanoa session like this that goes across a few different nations. So it's a blessing to be connecting from Los Angeles and connecting all the way to New Zealand, to Australia, to Fiji, and to the Kingdom of Tonga. Yeah, so to all of you who are joining in today, we are in for a treat. What a wonderful group that we have today. And they are here to share with us their wonderful symposium and a very special event that they are looking forward to be part of in June next month in 2025. Time has been moving so fast, yeah. For me personally, I can still remember what I did in January, and now it's already May. And so I would like to take this opportunity to greet everybody joining in and listening in, those of you joining in now, and those of you who will also listen to the live recording later on. So I think at this time, I would like to introduce the group members that are here. I will share them on my screen so you can see the different places and the smiling faces as well. Here they are. We have Pastor David Vaka, who is joining in from Brisbane. Vinaka, Pastor David. And then going on my list, I have Katrina Mau-Fatiaki from Nuku'alofa in Tonga. We also have Elias Canaris from the beautiful city of Sails in Auckland, New Zealand. And we have Romulo Nayacalevu from Canberra in Australia, and Lani Rauqeuqe from the capital of Fiji in Suva. Okay, so here we are to be part of this wonderful Talanoa session, and they will be sharing their journey and also the work that they all do individually, and then we'll all talk about the collective effort that they all working towards. So since we have David Vaka on my screen here, maybe Pastor, would you like to say a few words and greet our audience from Brisbane?
Thank you, Dr. T, and greetings to everyone on your platform and other platforms. My name is David Vaka, and I'm Tongan. I was born in Tonga, married to a Samoan princess. And we've got 4 beautiful children. They're half Tongan here in Brisbane with us. Most people would ask them, what are you in terms of your cultural identity? And they just look at these people and said, we don't know, we're confused. But that's just a little bit about our family. Tina and I have been planting churches all across the Pacific for the last 26 years. And during that time, we work with networks. We call them apostolic networks across the Pacific and other parts of the world. And I think after COVID, there was a redefining of our calling and our operations where we felt the Lord was calling us to start focusing on nation building. So since 2023, we have been moving across the Pacific, just networking with kingdom leaders from the church and the marketplace and talking about the possibility of us working together to build nations from a kingdom perspective. So that's basically what we're doing right now. We run businesses, we run cafes, and we're in few properties here and there. And at the same time, I write books. I have 3 books on Amazon.com. I'm working on a few books at the moment. But yeah, and then of course you have your kids, and our first grandchild was just born 6 months ago. So it's been exciting. But that's a little bit from me for now, Dr. T. Thank you.
Vinaka vakalevu, Pastor David. What a wonderful story that you've just shared, and also acknowledging your wife and the support of your family in the different journeys that you both have taken. And what a wonderful sharing that you have just shared now. But we look forward to many more as well. And I know the main theme that we're talking about today as well is on leadership. So with all your introduction, and I'm sure all of the work you have done over the years will be shared as well. So Vinaka vakalevu, Pastor David, and now we go across to Lani, and then we go to Elias. Vinaka Lani, vakambula mandamai.
Vinaka Dr. T, Bulare, and Vinaka everyone. Yes, signing in from Suva, and I'm a daughter, a sister, an aunt, and a cousin, and I always like to say that I'm a student of leadership. I currently co-own a consultancy firm, and I work for South Solutions right now. That's a little bit about me, and I'm originally from Bua. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think the people listening in may know where that is. Originally from Bua, Nabingiri Nawakasing in Bua, and have maternal links to Lamba, Rauqeuqe, Nandruma. And thank you for joining us this evening, Vinaka.
Lani, thank you for taking us to the northern part of Fiji. I think we'll say the most beautiful part in the northern part of which is Vanuatu, the northern part of Fiji, Vakalevu Lani. And yeah, again, acknowledging the work you're doing in Fiji, especially with the other individuals such as Anna Langere Tambua. And it's just so wonderful. I was saying to Katrina earlier that I've been watching from afar and really admire many of you who work in the space of leadership. And it's great to see many of us from the region itself, taking the lead in that space. So well done. So from Brisbane to Fiji and now to Auckland, Elias.
Well, kia ora and welcome from Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. My name is Elias Canaris and I'm not a native of New Zealand. In fact, I was born in North Africa in a little country called Libya. But my dad was born in Jerusalem. My mother was born in Bethlehem. Both of them were Christians. And as we were growing up in Libya, I remember my mother telling me, Elias, we're from the same tribe as Jesus. No pressure. But it was a situation where, having spent my early years in Libya, I left to go to the UK, where I spent 25 years in the UK and the last 30 years here in New Zealand, in Aotearoa. And what I see around me is a beautiful mixture of family from all around the world. And we are leaders, each and every single one of us, whether we have a title or we don't have a title. And I've been very privileged to have worked in international settings in the Global Speakers Federation and with the Professional Speaking Association here in New Zealand. But I work now as what I call a fractional CEO, helping organizations that can't afford a full-time CEO to shift from operating like a club all the way through to a professional body. And it's a pleasure, Dr. T, to be on this show with you and with your other guests and with your audience.
Thank you so much for just I think in that few seconds you mentioned your background, we kind of feel that we've just traveled all around the globe. So what a beautiful family history you've just shared with us. And I'm sure you're not here by accident. We know that you have a lot of that experience that you're going to share with our audience tonight. Thank you so much, Elias. And now over to Katrina and then to Romulo.
Malo lele from the Kingdom of Tonga to our listeners, and thank you, Dr. T, for this opportunity to have the partners for the Legacy Leadership Symposium to be part of this Noa this evening and also the afternoon, I think in the US time zone. My name is Katrina Mau-Fatiaki. Pastor Vaka, I'm married to a handsome Fijian. His name is Aptinko Rauqeuqe. I'm a mother of two boys, John and Siosifa Fatiaki. Also the owner of Kingdom Business, as I call it, for Tapak Milan Consultancy. What we do is leadership trainings in the community and government and just different sectors in Tonga. I came back to Tonga in 2017 after serving as an international civil servant. I worked together with Romulo a few years back at SPC, Secretary of the Pacific Community. Came back because of my parents, but I know it was also a calling. Every time I would come back to Tonga, there was always that voice saying, "It's time for you to come back, Trina." But part of me was a bit disobedient because I was enjoying the life in Fiji. But it took my my mother's health to shake me to come back because I'm the only daughter. But it's been a blessing coming back to Tonga. I wear many hats, and one of the hat that I wear where my heart and a lot of my commitment and time goes to is returnees that have come back, especially from the US, to help them reintegrate back into our society. Often people call them deportees. But yeah, I do a lot of work in leadership, empowering them and training them, and of course, other training programs in Tonga. But other than that, I'm a mother, and it's a journey on its own as a leader from home. And if anything, I'm very passionate about leadership at home. I run a parenting program together with another colleague, and I see the importance of building the family altar, which is so key in leadership. So yeah, that's a bit of a background about myself. Malo pita Dr. T.
Malo Katrina, thank you again for allowing us to connect with you and your beautiful family, and again your connection with your mom. And again, I think the word that came to mind when you were speaking was the calling. Yeah, so you were meant to be there, and look at all the services you are offering as well to your people in Tonga. Thank you so much. Now over to Romulo. Vinaka Rauqeuqe.
Vakalevu Dr. T, Nimbulu Vinaka, na Viokani, ni Sama Tikumai, na Kevna ni Sinikua, Tumanda u Vavini Vinataka ni Tikuna ni Rando Vitalo Novat, na Numuni Vatavata, na Valevu na Kana Solitiku, na Yalo Vinaka, na Merau Kinamento to Vitala no. Na Vukundangan Viokani, Usana Takos Talmanda Vanito was Nava Serua. My name is Romulo Nayacalevu. From Fiji, and currently I'm connecting from Canberra, the capital of Australia. Like Katrina and the fantastic leaders that are part of this platform, it is an honor to be part of something, a movement that's happening right here in the Pacific. We started in Tonga when Katrina is initially the vision carrier for the Legacy Leadership Symposium, Dr. T. She came back from America all wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and excited about what she felt was something that we could do in the region. And for those of us that have worked in the region, we know that we are facing a leadership crisis. And whether that's in the political sphere or community or church. And it is so important that we continue to confront ourselves. in that process. And so being part of this journey with Katrina from Tonga, then to Fiji, and now we're quite excited to be going to Elias' city of sales, that we can take leadership into the nations of the region. So that's one of our driving forces. Sometimes I don't know who I'm working for. It feels like I'm working for LLS and Katrina, because from the morning till the afternoon, there's an email or there's a message about LLS. So in the different hats that we wear, the dominant one is LLS at the moment. Even though Katrina doesn't pay us, the wonderful thing about this is the vision compels us, and it's the vision that draws us, because we're believing for a transformative Pacific, a transformative region. I'm married to Vivian. My wife and I do life together, do adventures together, and we're trying to bring this as part of our adventures in the region. So again, fantastic to be part of your platform, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to talano with you. Naka.
Thank you so much, Romulo, for those beautiful words, especially in the case of the work of LLS. You know, when I was reading the concept note that was sent to me, you know, I was personally quite excited about it, even though the conversation started off with Debra Tuibau, and I'm sure she'll be listening in. So Debra, Vinaka vakalevu, for connecting me to Katrina, and then now to this wonderful team that is here. And I could envision a lot of us, those of you who are listening in from here in the US, from Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and across the region, to go over to Auckland, New Zealand. And I'm sure Elias will have his house for us to stay. He's nodding. I'm sure he has a big backyard that we can all have one tent and we can all share this beautiful couple of days together. But with all your wonderful introduction, one of the words that keeps coming up is leadership, yeah. And as Romulo just touched on, this is something, as he said really well, that is lacking, yeah, in the region. Even for me personally, when I look back to the various leaders who many of them have passed away, in the region. For example, in the case of Fiji, with the passing of the late Tuilau, Saunibonokolau, Ratu Sekamisesemara. When he passed away, I think for me personally, as a young woman in Fiji, I felt that there was a void, in the country. Then they look across to all the different island nations. You have those leaders that we often look up to. But I'm so glad that you're all here to provide us some guidance, or to share with us what steps are there to fill in those spaces or to fulfill those visions. So maybe we'll get Katrina to kickstart the Talanoa, maybe just going back to the word leadership. What does that word mean to you personally, Katrina? And we'll just go around the room and just get your comments and thoughts about that particular word, Katrina. Vinaka.
Thank you very much, Dr. T. Often when I refer to the definition of leadership, I do go back to the definition that John Maxwell uses, that leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. And when you unpack that, it's so important because, influence can be happening at home. It can be happening in the community. It doesn't matter where you're at in life, but it's understanding how to influence. And it's so key at a time we're at, because there are different types of influence that are happening, which are often toxic, which we need to be aware of. It could be you could be persuading someone in a negative way, and that may not be positive influence. You may be manipulating a person, which is also not positive itself. So it's so important that as we look at influence, it's really unpacking that and looking at positive influence. So that's often the definition I take to the community, that anyone can be a leader. And because the sort of traditional understanding of leadership that it's about titles and positions and And, I praise God for the partners because we all share that value, and we sing that song together, that leadership is beyond that. It's not about positions and not about titles. And for me personally, it's about having a heart to serve your family, your community, whatever hat that you may be wearing, but it's serving from the heart. And of course, with that servanthood, having that heart to serve, all the other leadership qualities come to play. It's being honest, being true to yourself. And that's where integrity comes in, which also forms your character. And I believe that these are two key qualities that is so important that a lot of people are also being misled because a lot of people are saying things, or in other words, to simplify that, is people are not practicing what they preach. And so you often have a lot of young people who are also confused with, who is a leader. And I'll just end with this example because I know our partners have, they've got so much to share. But I often feel sad when I go and run youth trainings and I ask the young people, who is someone who has been a role model to you? Who is a leader to you? And it takes them a while. They actually start, talking about the celebrities from Hollywood and the actors and actresses. And then I say to them, have they come and helped you? And they're like, not really. And so when I kind of break it down and then I say, has someone influenced you? In a very simple way from home. Then it dawns on them that it could be one of their grandparents. It's their mom and dad and so forth. But for me, when I hear that there's a leadership deficit, which Romulo, he touched on at the beginning, because I want to hear the young people say, it's my mom, it's my dad. Leadership is they see it at home. And so, there's so much to unpack, but I think that's the definition that I can give at this point. Malo Dr. T.
Vinaka, Katrina, for sharing that. I think the key word there is influence and the heart to serve. Wow. There's some gems, I'm sure. For those of you who are listening in, you better get a notebook and a pen because you've got such a wonderful group of people here who will be sharing some of their learnings as well as some teachings that we can all benefit from. So from Katrina maybe to Lani, because I know Lani, I was eavesdropping on one of your breakfast interview with the Fiji TV. And I was sitting there and I was in awe, just by hearing, some of the key points that you were mentioning. And especially in the Pacific where, many of us women may not be looked upon as a leader, right? Gender comes in at play. But when I saw you and your other colleagues sitting next to you, I was so proud. It was that moment when I kind of realized that, well, women, can be in these leadership spaces too. Lani, would you like to continue the talanoa that Katrina started? And then we'll go across to Pastor Vaka, then to Elias, and then to Tau Romulo.
Vinaka, Dr. T. I think Katrina has started beautifully with, leadership about being influencer. Maybe I'll touch a little bit on how leadership starts with leading yourself. Often when we're thinking about leadership, we're looking outwards. And sometimes we need to be reminded, no, the first place we start is with ourselves. And I always like to focus on this value of courage. And I think I also said on that breakfast show that to be a leader, you need absolute courage, because I think it takes courage to look inwards, to self-reflect, and to assess how you are doing in life, assess whether your life is aligning with the values that you hold dear. And these values could be many things: honesty, hard work, integrity, and we're all familiar with the values we hold dear. And so probably I'd just focus on that. I think real leadership starts with leading yourself first. And then once you're able to do that, then you'd be able to lead others. And even before you're thinking about leading others, I think it's the value of your witness. If you're leading yourself well, you'd be amazed that, because I think we're such right now in the age of the internet, we've become such a visual society, right? And so we look at so many things. We're assessing through what we see. And I guess before others hear your words, before others hear you explain leadership, what they will see first is your life. And so I would just like to say that if you're able to lead yourself well, then you can be sure that you're leading others because people are watching you. It's either your children are watching you, for those of us that have children, or your neighbors are watching you as we all live in our communities, or even strangers, people that you meet in the park or in towns, or in the city. Like, you'd be amazed at the amount of people that are watching us, and people will often say, before they hear you, they see you. And so I'd just like to focus on that part of leadership today. To lead others well, you must first begin with leading yourself well. Vinaka, Dr. T.
Vinaka vakalevu Lani. And I think one of the key points that Katrina shared earlier was, starting first at home. Thank you for reminding that key point for us, Katrina. And then now with Lani, looking at leadership starting with us. Wow, it's now shifting the whole, how we view the word leadership. So this is great. So Vinaka vakalevu, Katrina and Lani. So now let's go to Pastor Vaka. Just continuing the discussion on what leadership means to you personally.
Thank you, Dr. T. For me personally, I believe that leadership starts definitely with leading yourself, but I like to just take it a step further and say that it's about knowing yourself, because you can't lead yourself if you don't know yourself. Something that I keep teaching people everywhere I go, that the Bible said that we are made in the image and the likeness of God, and God is 3 in 1. So we are tripartite, we are triune beings. We are a spirit that has a soul that lives in a body. Unless we know who we are and those different aspects of our composition, we can't really lead ourselves. So we need to take time to really delve deep into who am I before we can successfully lead us. Secondly, once you know yourself, you can lead yourself, and then you can lead others. I like the word influence that was mentioned by Lani and also Katrina. Definitely, you can't force people into a certain destiny or a project or something that you want to do. It has to be through influence. Of course, that starts with you knowing yourself, leading yourself, and out of that, you can actually influence others because they love what you're all about. They love seeing what's happening with your life. And last one is being able to mobilize a group of people, diverse understanding from different backgrounds, to accomplish a shared goal vision. So to me, that's pretty much how I see leadership. It starts with you, know yourself, and then influence others. And at the end, you must.
Okay, we'll wait for Pastor to join us again. Must be an internet. Oh, yeah, he's back again. Okay. Don't know what's happening with the internet in Brisbane. It's back again. Okay.
I'm saying,
Yes, welcome back.
yeah, so that's pretty much my definition of leadership, Dr. T.
Thank you so much, Pastor Vaka, for reminding us, knowing yourself, leading yourself, and then you can influence others. Wow, that is great. Thank you so much for reminding us about that, starting first with us. Vinaka, Pastor Vaka, now we go to Auckland, to Elias.
Thank you, Dr. T. I think we've heard such great examples of leadership, from self-leadership to understanding yourself, about influence. But let's look at the world we live in today. We live in a very divided world. And today is probably the worst example of leadership that we are seeing across the globe. We see people on this internet social media environment that are totally and utterly divided. And they're almost in an echo chamber where they're guided by artificial intelligence and all the pathways to go down and listen to one thing, which then divides people. So when I look at leadership, I think about values-based leadership. And how are we developing values-based leadership out there? How are we empowering the next generation to understand that there is a true north, to understand that there are some values, and we've heard the word values already mentioned by Pastor Vaka, that we need to understand how do we re-engage with the real values. I remember a friend of mine saying that when you think about these things, it's what your grandmother knew, but your mother forgot to tell you. So let's go back a generation or 2 generations to think about how did we lead? We led by respecting our elders. We led by being able to give up our seat on the bus when an elderly gentleman or a lady or a pregnant woman came onto the bus. We led by turning around with our actions as much as with our words. But when you think of influence, the influence of X or the influence of Facebook is becoming so powerful now that we have to be careful that we lead the next generation through the difficult minefield that's out there. And it's up to us as leaders to lead ourselves first and then stop and help others as we lead them through that next generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reminding us I think the key point is that generational passing of knowledge. That is really, really powerful. And thanks again for allowing us to also look at what's happening around the world. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much for that, Elias. And now to Romulo, if you would like to continue the dialogue from Elias and the others too.
Nayacalevu, Dr. T. We've heard a lot of nuggets from our leadership team. That's why we're a great group. We sing from the same song sheet, I guess. We believe, there's underlying commonalities in how we view leadership, moving from leadership being positional to leadership being influence. And I subscribe to the leadership ideology that it was about the position that you held. So until I, became part of this group, to realize that there was actually a shift, a significant shift from position to influence. And when you're talking about influence, it can be a good influence or a bad influence, which then defines and characterizes your leadership and the leadership style that you actually show. And just like Lani and the team, we believe that before we can look at the leadership deficit and be critical of it, we must look inwardly and confront ourselves. And that's what our platform is about. It's about confronting our leadership values, as Elias has rightfully said, so that we can challenge our value system to recognize how those values can impact and influence others. When we started this journey, we put in this important word of legacy. And I guess I'll tie this back to how you took us to the forefathers of our region, to where we have what we recognize as a leadership deficit or leadership gap. And this is the importance of legacy, because leaders don't just leave a legacy of how they've led, but they leave legacies so that generations of leaders that come after them will continue to build on that legacy and influence and impact and change for the good, the leadership environment that we inherit. And so our generation, my generation, is looking at what I have, and and in confronting myself, I'm asking the question of whether what I pass to the next generation will inspire them to do greater, to be better. And if it's not, then what do I need to change in the now so that we can continue to pass the baton of leadership to the next generation that will just continue to take it up? And, as our leadership team have articulated this afternoon, we see a lot of leadership right now that divides, leadership that segregates, leadership that is, it thrives on being divisive. And the more we can divide and conquer people, the more we think that, or we project ourselves as a strong leader. But I think, when you're looking at those leadership styles, you recognize that those are indicators of very weak leaders, indicators of leadership that, that will expire by its use by date. But a legacy leadership, on the other hand, is one that will continue to drive and inspire, even when we've gone, that leaders after us will say, this is the what I've inherited, whether it's in my family, in my community, in my church, whatever. And this is how I can build upon that so that those that come after me will continue to inherit a better world. And so, there's so much that will be unpacking together with you, Dr. T, but you'll hear similar sentiments across our leadership team because we're subscribing to those leadership values where we believe that as we come out to the region to have this conversation, we start with us and then we go out as we are doing it through these platforms. Naka?
Wow, amazing. Vinaka vakalevu. I think the key word you mentioned there is the shift. Yeah, the shift of how we understood leadership, going back to what Elias mentioned earlier, the values, that the leadership of how we understood it back then, and the generation or on how we understood that word and what we actually expected to see in leaders today. Oh man, you know what? I should be putting another 2 hours to this Talanoa. This is just exciting, and we just started. So, man, Vinaka vakalevu for just sharing and I think setting the scene, and you all represent such a wonderful group. Now, the question I have, maybe I look at Katrina. How do people get to join your group, or how did you start off with this LLS group, Katrina? Now I want to join.
Yes. Well, you're more than welcome to join us in New Zealand, Dr. T. I think that's an important question because I want to go back to servant leadership, and the makeup of our team. Basically, we're all a group of volunteers. It's funny how Romulo was saying that LLS is dominating his emails and all that. I believe that's how God is also uniting us. And I know, every time I'm emailing the team, I'm like, Lord, please just continue to give the team a heart to serve. Us coming together, it's not easy. We're in different time zones. Everyone wears different hats. The technical team, they have their professional hats. For me, I feel like LLS has become part and parcel of my everyday life. Every time I'm doing something, I'm always telling the partners, Lani's laughing because she knows it's like, there's I know it's the Holy Spirit speaking to me. There's an LLS email you need to send. There's an LLS reminder. How did we come together? It's really God bringing us together. This is a team who have hearts to serve. This is a team who are also leaders in their various capacities. And I know God has great plans in how we're moving together. LLS is really a leadership Vaka, Dr. T. It was birthed in Tonga in 2023. And it was launched by Her Majesty the Queen. We saw what the event did, especially with God just moving in the environment. It happened at a time where we were just recovering after the volcanic eruption. And so we didn't have much resources. I was also doubting and limiting just, what Tonga could offer. But God also shook me, saying that, I want to show you just what I can do in performing a miracle in uniting people. And so we had a few representatives from around the region. But it was also birthed really out of prayers. A number of all of us, actually, we've all been praying about leadership in the Pacific region. And it was also something that God instilled in me few years back when I came back to Tonga and served, doing a lot of trainings in the community. And I always felt, and there was a vision I had that one day there will be a platform where it unites people. It was only when I went to the US a few years back, then God started to give me ideas. And so from there, I approached a few of the partners. Very grateful for Romulo. He has been instrumental in being part of the birthing of LLS. You mentioned Ana Langere Dambua. She was one of our initial partners. Of course, she's now running another similar event also, which is really the outcome of LLS. It's to mobilize people, mobilize countries so that they also run their own leadership initiatives. The partnership has also now evolved, and we're so grateful. We have Pastor Vaka from Australia. Of course, he's Tongan and he's going to be coming back. We have Elias Kanaris from New Zealand. We have Lani from Fiji. So it's really, these leaders coming together really with hearts to serve. And as I had mentioned, no one is paid, but we're just, the common goal is to build, which is the vision of LLS Dr. T. It's a vision to really transform the leadership landscape. It's about inspiring and impacting and transforming the leadership landscape. So it's really a movement where we're not just having followers of leadership. It's about equipping a movement of leaders from around the region, from the ends of the earth. And so it was birthed in Tonga in 2023. We had an amazing symposium in Fiji. And so now we're going to another level. And so, as we're seeing what God is really doing, we're basically navigators and journeying in the seas, in our oceans. And we know that it's as Romulo had mentioned it earlier, and Lani, that it's an annual convening. So we're sailing across the region. We do have a country we have someone that is putting up her hand, and we're having discussions, and we'll reveal that later. But we're just looking for people who is obedient to the calling. And so that's really how we came together. And as I had mentioned, we have different members that make up the team. So we are the partners, the 5 partners, and then there's a technical team. They are composed of other members from Tonga, Fiji, and also New Zealand. And so, basically we're all operating in our strength zone. And so as you see updates coming on the Facebook page, that's just like the volunteers committing their time, updating the page, putting graphics together. And so I just wanted to really emphasize that, because, you've got to live and breathe it. And I feel, and I'm very blessed that this is a team that embodies that. So that's really in a nutshell about the vision, and the others can talk more about it. Malo, Dr. T.
Malo, Katrina, Vinaka, vakalevu, for sharing that, the vision you had, and how it all started in the Kingdom of Tonga in 2023, and I could see this getting bigger and bigger as you, get people to see the work that you all do, and it's amazing you're all volunteering for this work that you all do. Pastor Vaka, what's this calling for you? To be part of this wonderful movement?
Well, to be honest, Katrina was very, very insisting that I should get involved, and she would not leave me alone until I said yes. And that's really who she is. But it's not sure whether it's that the Holy Spirit or it's that the Tongan in her that's just won't let you go until you say yes. But the truth is, I really am so proud of Katrina. I'm getting a bit emotional now. Just seeing a sister from the same country standing up and putting her hands up to say, I will lead. And particularly for a woman to step forth into leadership is not easy. Just absolutely proud of her. And I said, look, anything I can do to help you, Katrina, I want to cheer you on. I want to champion your vision, your mission, and also what she's doing resonate with my heart. I believe that Tonga is a nation that has been ordained by God to lead. There's a pioneering spirit upon the country. We are a nation of kings. It goes back to our history. We're the only kingdom in the Pacific, and it says a lot that we're supposed to be a nation of kings and queens, and leadership anointing is on the whole country. And in a collective sense, I believe Tonga is called to lead, to pioneer, to bring new dimensions of innovation, creativity, understanding. And when I saw Katrina, I felt like that thing that Tonga is called to be emanating from her, and it resonated with me as a Tongan brother. And yeah, that's why I said, yeah, I'm with you. Let's do this. It's not just something that I love doing, but it's destiny. It's a calling. So that's why I'm here. Sorry for being emotional. Sorry.
Malo, Pastor Vaka. That is beautiful to share those words from the heart. And even when Katrina was sharing that one of the qualities of being part of the LLS movement is to have a heart to serve. And, it's wonderful that Katrina is a living example of that. And so thank you so much, Katrina, for having that influence already, for those that are around you. And you can imagine those who will be listening to our Talano today, and of course the event that is coming up in New Zealand, that is just around the corner, that many of you who are listening can be able to meet these individuals in person. And not only just them, but others that are going to be part of this journey. Wow. We'll go to Romulo and to Elias and then to Lani again on what was the calling for you to be part of this group. Tau?
Nayacalevu maramatau. Initially, as Katrina brought us together to have this conversation about LLS, I said no, because I recognized that this vision was huge. And that's the thing about vision, Maramatau, is that when you have a vision that's bigger than yourself, you're able to confront your comfort zones, you're able to confront you, because you recognize that this will shake you, it will take you out from your familiar zone. And so when Katrina came and said LLS, leadership for the region, you recognize, one, the region is vast. Two, you want to work in a region that is so, we are one, but we're disconnected by geography. And the cost of doing things in the region is huge. How do you start something with no money? Katrina and I had worked in the development space. So we know that when we're doing workshops in any country in the Pacific, a huge chunk of money that you set aside for that particular work just goes to logistics and flights. And so when she came and said this, I said, look, it's going to be a difficult undertaking. But I'm someone that have come into my own leadership journey recognizing the power of vision. And it is vision that moves me. It's vision that drives me, that compels me into stepping out of the familiar, the things that I'm comfortable with. So I recognize, Pastor David, bias is Katrina is Tongan, just like him. My bias is Katrina is a young person, and just like me. I'm not saying Pastor David's old. I'm just saying that these are the things that resonated because we work together, and I subscribe to what he said. She's a young woman, she's Tongan, and understanding our background, our hierarchies, our patriarchal nature of the societies that we live in. This is something that's just so difficult on the face of it. But I love the faith and I love the vision, because what we see now, and that's what I've constantly reminded people in the room. I reminded the people in the room in Tonga and the people in the room in Fiji that we came together because of the vision of one. And that's leadership. That you just need someone to believe that you can be the change. Because a lot of times when we want to be the change, we look at our bank accounts, we look at what's after our names, we look at so many contingencies to try and determine whether I can be the change. But when Katrina came, she came just as she is. And now we have a team. We like to call ourselves the tribe, the leadership tribe that we're part of now. And that's how real change happens. It happens with people who are willing to defy the status quo and say, no, it can be better. And I guess our team of leaders, we're saying the region can be better. We deserve better leadership. We deserve better leadership values so that our next generation will not be so hung up to a leadership value that's so distorted, that's defined by social media, that's defined by Hollywood, that's defined by Bollywood, and in our version in Fiji, Lollywood. But it's leadership values that comes from our culture, that comes from our faith, and that comes from our own upbringing at home. And so we're a group that will talk on and on and on, and 2 hours is not enough, but I'm just going to submit the platform back to you so that we can get this talent going. Otherwise, Dr. T, Pastor Vaka is not the only preacher in this platform. We can preach and we can go on and on and on. But for the sake of your audience, handing it back to you.
Wow, Vinaka Vale Sara to Romulo. And again, we're celebrating all of you, with the commitment and the courage. I think that was the word Lani was saying before, having that courage to be in front, and to be seen by everybody, to take the lead. And you just reminded me now, because Pastor Vaka is from Tonga, Katrina is from Tonga, and while you both were talking, I was thinking of another Tongan that was my teacher and professor at USP, the late Professor Epeli Haofa. The words that you were all sharing was, kind of making us think beyond the colonial narrative, by looking at ourselves as being small, right? But we are such a very unique part of this world. We should be looking at ourselves as, the sea of violence, and even when I remember in one of his lectures, when he was talking about it, I never took it, maybe at that time I was still young, it didn't occurred to me that the power of words, right? The power of words. And he just put the words back to front, and then when we looked at the sea of violence, you kind of see the Pacific in a different light. And so again, I just wanted us to remember him, because the words that he's used over the years, it has really impacted on so many of us. So Vinaka vakalevu for the sharing on that part. So now to Elias, I know you will be hosting us in June. What did you know that we are coming to you in Auckland?
Absolutely. I've got everything organized in the house. We've got the gardeners coming in to clear out all of the rubbish so we can pitch the tent and extra beds and hammocks and everything. We're so excited. So to explain why I got excited to join this and to be pulled into this Waka, let me go back a little bit in my history. And I joined the Professional Speaking Association and the industry back in 2010. And in 2013, I became what I called the accidental president. I wasn't planning to be the president. I was going to be the deputy president, but God has got plans. And when God has a plan, you just have to go with the flow. And I ended up having a conversation with somebody who said, hey, would you be willing to go to this conference in Canada? And I asked them information. They said, well, for this conference, you have to pay for your own airfares, pay for your own ticket, pay for your own accommodation. I said, well, that's interesting. And then they said, and this is in 6 weeks' time, and it's in Canada. So 6 weeks, $6,000 later, I found myself in Canada, attending what was called the Global Speakers Summit. And I was surrounded by some incredible people in the speaking industry who elevated my thinking about what I could do in terms of how I could influence people from the stage. And I was so taken by this, I came back to New Zealand and I said to my colleagues, really, we need to replicate this. And in 2018, we started the Global Speaker Summit again. And it was a big undertaking to come and pull about 300 international speakers into New Zealand, into Aotearoa. And as we did that, we then made the reflection that this had to be a biannual event. Every 2 years, we went then to Namibia and then to Dublin. And after Dublin, we went through to Bali. And now we're going to go through to Cairns. And so it continues. Because I realize that when we look at the way that we operate, we need to be around other people who can lift us up and help us to grow on a regular basis. And what Katrina has already produced is something on an annual basis in this region. Now, I look at this and I have the privilege of being the Chief Executive Officer for an organization called the Contact Centre Network in New Zealand. Now, if you think about contact centres, think about people who answer the phone or deal with an email or do a web chat or something along those lines. And we have estimated that in New Zealand alone, there must be about 500 or 600 organizations that have a contact center in one fashion or another. And they would employ anything between 50,000 to 80,000 people within the industry. And yet, when I look at it, the majority of people employed in this industry are either from the Maori or the Pacifica community. Think about this. The Maori Pacifica community are a large proportion, yet how are we empowering them and leading them? What are we doing that encourages them to not only start a job, but have a career, to then influence the way that we interact with people who could be at one point abusive on the phone, but at the same time could help our colleagues who are going through a difficult time to get through the next day, the next hour, the next call. And we need to empower through the LLS, the Legacy Leadership Symposium, the ability to then transfer this not just once, but again. And I would suggest that every 90 days we need to get together in some fashion or another and reset the goals and then have accountability and drive something that will help people sustain. Because leadership is a process, not an event. So we need to know that we continue something beyond just this one event. We have then the leaders in each country that can continue to develop their local community. And that's why, for me, this is such an important element. And the vision that Katrina has shared with us attracted me to come and volunteer. Malo.
Amazing, Vinaka, vakalevu, for sharing that huge commitment that you made, $6,000 later, and for you to go within 6 weeks to go to Canada. Wow. I think it comes back again to the point that Katrina mentioned, for you to have the heart to serve. So with whatever that phone call that came to you, you embraced it and you went, and look what happened now. And then you brought 300 people with you to come to New Zealand. Wow, well done. Thank you. Thank you again for sharing that. And I'm sure with your experience, and that can also empower the team and others who will be joining, to see what other LLS that will be done in the next couple of years. So Vinaka vakalevu for that. And now over to you, Lani. Again, you mentioned also with John Maxwell and with Anna Langere-Tambua and the work that a few of you are doing in Fiji. What made you want to work with Katrina and the rest of these amazing people that are here with us today?
Vinaka, Dr. T. I mean, you're seeing the partners, right? Like, when we interact in our meetings and all of that, it's hard not to be influenced, right? To join. It's such a contagious thing when we get together. I mean, I guess because you come with with the right attitudes and the right motivation, and probably I just focus on the partners we have on the call right now. I mean, like for Pastor Vaka and Elias, you know, seeing people who carry, you know, a father heart for the region, and for people like Romulo, Katrina, and myself, who are younger than them, but you know, they still find it in their interest to partner with us and hang out with us. Like that in itself is an encouragement, and I think it's leadership in practice. And there's many parts of the LLS vision that resonated with me, but maybe I just focus on Katrina's vision about this being a regional response to leadership, and that we build a cohort of Pacific leaders. And I think that part of the vision really resonated with me, in the sense that I think as islanders, most times we look outwards when we're looking at leadership. We're looking at advanced economy examples, we're looking at Western examples, and often we forget, and the LLS vision articulates this very well. It's values-based, and it's also based on the cultural values that we hold dear. You know, you talked about Professor Pele Hawofa, and I think the values of respect for elders, respect for the environment, respect for nature, are all the cultures we hold dear as Pacific Islanders. And I think because LLS tries to sort of build on that and build a cohort of leaders outside of the values that we hold dear, that really resonated with me. And of course, the LLS vision is to build this community of practice, so that we're able to learn from each other as people of Oceania and people of the Pacific, and of course, to learn from people like Elias, who've come from outside the region and who will challenge us with new ideas, with innovative ways of doing things, and yeah, with probably challenging the status quo. So that really spoke to me, and I think the other part is, when you look at a vision and you know that it's impossible to do and it's bigger than yourself, then you can bet that's from God, right? Because He's not going to ask you to do something that you could humanly do, right? You'll need others. And as you see, we have 5 partners, and Katrina's referenced our technical team. I think this idea of having to depend on others in order to carry a vision keeps us really humble, but at the same time, it keeps us really grateful and focused on this vision that we carry. And I guess because it's a legacy leadership symposium, that's how Katrina has coined this for us. I think the other part to this is really leadership. And I think for all of us, leadership was modeled to us beautifully. And so now I think the responsibility is on us. And like, what do we do about that? Leadership was modeled to us beautifully. Does it stop with us? Or do we have to carry this forward? And so I think the legacy bit is also the other aspect that really, really spoke to me. Thank you, Dr. T.
Vinaka vakalevu, Sara, for I think reminding us with that particular word, partnership, and working as a team. And I think while you were speaking, I thought of that phrase that I think many of us must have heard back in high school, the word the Pacific Way. Yeah, and I know SPC has a program that is called the Pacific Way, and I'm sure they chose it with a high purpose. And I think when I look online here, there's a beautiful phrase that it says here, "What is the Pacific Way?" And I'll just read it for us. I quote: "This thoughtful and humble approach honors people, places, and cultures, and relies on building strong partnerships with the people who live in and care for these special islands," unquote. What a beautiful phrase, just reminding us. And I think it kind of sums up very beautifully what everyone has just shared, and also what Lani just shared just now, the importance of working together. Yeah? Wow. Whew. Katrina, what's in front of us now? I know there's a huge event coming up, And all of you as partners are working together on a daily basis. You've got a technical team also listening in, and a set of volunteers who are on the ground with Elias, helping pave the way for those of us who will be there in June. Katrina, just give us briefly what this event is all about, and just the themes and any other information that you'd like to share, and then the others can also speak to it too.
Thank you, Dr. T. And before I respond to that, I just want to also honor the partners. I'm really grateful, just for their hearts to serve. And if anything, you had nailed it when you mentioned that quote, because that's really ultimately what leadership is all about. It's about putting people first. These are, like I had mentioned, we are a group of volunteers. We have hearts to serve, and it is about our people. And if anything, it's really love that unites us. So I just want to honor Pastor Vaka too. He was emotional. He got all of us emotional there. But I think it's the love that we have for our nations. It's the love that we have for the Pacifica, for Oceania. When we talk about leadership, there's a big gap there because a lot of people are serving for the wrong reasons. This is the team who are volunteers, who are committing their time just to build our nations and to transform the leadership landscape. So I just want to honor the partners. I'm really grateful for their lives. I'm grateful to God for how God is using all of them. And I'm just excited with what God is going to do in this Vaka, which leads to the leadership theme, High Road Leadership, Dr. T. High Road Leadership is the theme for this year's Legacy Leadership Symposium. And just a snippet of what High Road Leadership is about. It is about placing value in people. And so we've got an amazing 3 days event. So I'm inviting everyone that is tuned in, especially the Pacifica community from the US. There's your currency is much stronger than the pounds, I believe, and the other pounds around the world, especially the top Tongan Pa'anga. So invest in yourself. We're only charging 250 New Zealand dollars. We're accommodating it for our people because we're taking into account, travel and also visas for those that need it. So it's a 3 days event from the 25th, 26th, 27th of June. So the last week of June. So lock that in, people. We have a website that Elias is managing. So you can tune in for more details at www.lls.nz. We'll share that also on actually you can get that on our website, all the details there, and also Facebook page. We're constantly updating about the speakers. Now, one of the things I just want to emphasize, Dr. T, is that this platform is about our people. We're bringing in the experience, the wealth of knowledge of our Pacifica people. And every time we see as partners, when we're sailing and anchoring at a nation, we're also tapping into their resources. We're tapping into their people. So we've been very grateful for our Sala Dunambua, who is the person who's also organizing things logistics-wise. And Elias has been our key partner on the ground, making recommendations on key speakers. So the speakers are people from New Zealand who are also Pacific descendant. Sorry if that's the right word. I'm starting to think in Tongan there. And so it is our Pacifica people. We also have speakers coming in from Fiji, from Tonga. So it's our people that will be utilized using this platform to share their leadership nuggets, share the leadership journeys. Now, with the theme, because it's about high road leadership, it's about placing value on people. We have 3 sub-themes that complement the theme, and it's about equipping, empowering, and expanding. And so if you go to the website, we have an outline of the program, but the first day is really the day where we're unpacking what high road leadership is about. So we're using a mixture of different approaches. We've got panelists that are coming in, and it's Pacifica people too. We're also using we're having electives from the first day and second day. So there'll be breakout sessions. So first day is equipping me. And so we're going to be unpacking what high role leadership is about. And then we're bringing in some key high role leaders as panelists to share their journeys. Second day is about empowering me. So that's really like the meat in the sandwich. So there's going to be more leadership nuggets there with amazing speakers, which you can get on from the website. And the last day is expand me. So we've got the 3 E's there: equip, empower, and expand me. And expand me is really about legacy. So, it goes back to, I think Lani had mentioned that in Romulo, what legacy do you want to leave behind? So, you're going to be enriched with not just leadership nuggets, but we want people to leave with practical skills on how to better lead. So that's really just in a nutshell on the program and the theme. And as I had mentioned, you can get all the details from the website and also the Facebook page. But others, the partners can also add on.
Vinaka vakalevu, Katrina, and Elias. I did know that you were the person working on the website. I'm sure you wear many hats. So, what's the experience like in setting up the website for this event?
So let me just explain. It's been a fantastic opportunity to get involved with the website. The beauty of the system is that we know that we are trying to create an impression for many people across this 3 days. And what Katrina has already mentioned is that we were blessed to have a good cross-section of speakers in multiple industry segments that cover everything from education through to health, through to politics, back into business and more. And the beauty of this all is that I remember a conversation I had with John Maxwell a number of years ago. And John said, Elias, you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. Think about this: green and growing or ripe and rotting. I think we need to invest in ourselves and keep on growing. It's better to be growing than to be rotting. And the opportunity is really for us to enjoy the time that we have together and share more as a group.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that and the role that you're playing, as well for the selection of the key speakers too. And it's great to hear from Katrina that you're looking at our Pacific Islanders that are in New Zealand, and I'm sure it's a great way to connect the Pacific Island nations as well as those in Aotearoa. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge on in that regard. Over to you, Romulo, and then to Lani, and then Pastor Vaka. So, Romulo, what are your thoughts about this upcoming event?
Naka Dr. T, I'm green and growing. So you can see I'm moving to ripe, but not anything else after that, just remaining at ripe. But in saying that, I just paid for my visa today. And so one thing about visa to New Zealand, so one thing, Dr. T, I'm a student at the moment. And I think it's just important that we keep reinvesting in ourselves. We've started with this idea that, as you're confronting leadership, you confront yourself. And one thing that unfortunately is a tragedy is that often we don't invest in ourselves. A lot of times, especially in the Pacific and in our culture, we give to every songo under the sun, and we spend our money on everybody else, the whole village. And often we don't see that we ourselves need to be investing in learning. And the thing about learning is, until you put your hand across your chest, learning is part and parcel of everyday life. You learn, you grow, you mature, you get ripe. And so, we'd like to think that this is a platform where we're learning and we are bettering our leadership journey. I'm just going to share also, when we went to Tonga in 2023, we talked about this concept of leadership Vaka, because Her Majesty the Queen, when she launched this program, she launched what was the leadership Vaka to sail across the region. And it fits in perfectly with your narrative of what the late Professor Hawapa talked about our Sea of Islands. And I like the narrative where he shared that, we're not small ocean states. We're not small nations. We are large ocean states. And it's a narrative, I guess, that we've taken into the international platforms to begin to confront the smallness that we often have, the mindset of smallness. But what we're really seeing in this leadership journey is about looking at what's possible and how we can make the Pacific region, our region, a paradise. It's already a paradise, but we'll have to take it up 10 notch up so that we can really ensure that we have leadership to back that concept of paradise. But what I'm going to share very briefly before I hand over to you is we went to Tonga in 2023, and a young man came and joined us in Tonga from Fiji. And this young man sold ice blocks to come to Tonga. He saw this leadership conversation. He was so attracted to it, but he didn't have a stable source of income. So what he started to do was sell ice blocks and sell cake. And he was able to pay his airfare, and he flew to Tonga. And I know, he's part of our group now, but it was revolutionary just to hear his story. As I shared also in the beginning with Katrina and I, in working at SPC, before we've run hundreds of training across the Pacific. So what we do is we put aside the big budget of flying everybody in. So when she came and said LLS, I said it can't work, because as we've seen, we need a big budget to fly people in. If people are going to fly themselves, it's a big pool. But when we actually started to roll out 2023 and roll out 2024 and saw how people were so believed in the vision, and they came alongside it, and there were people that put aside money just to come. Just as a concept, Dr. T, in Tonga, we obviously had to fly there, so there was accommodation and all that. And then in Fiji, we had it at the Sofitel, and again, we had over 200 people in the room. 200 people in the room. And we're looking at in New Zealand, up to 250 people will be in the room. I'm believing that. We're seeing the registration picking up right across the Pacific. And what I'm seeing there is that, we're not just talking about a leadership crisis or leadership deficit. We're not just going to be posting about it again and say, oh, this is what's bad in our region. But we're actually going to do something about it. And we're going to invest our resources. And we're going to be there, and we're going to keep talking about it up until we're seeing the change. So that's why we are so excited for New Zealand, because after New Zealand, this Vaka will journey on to another part of the Pacific. And it's going to go right across the Pacific, but it'll come back and hopefully in 10 years' time, when we're all ripe and getting rotten, or maybe, 50 years' time, not 10. 10 is too early. 50 years time, when we are rotting, that we'll be able to look back and say, that's what I was part of. I was part of that leadership revolution. And I didn't just post about it. I actually put my money where my mouth was, and I believe that I was going to be the catalyst of change. And that's how I did it. So we're looking forward to what that future looks like for us. We're green, ripening, but in a good kind of way. And when we get ripe, we will be as sweet as the pawpaw in my country, in my village in Serua, and fruits and everything else. That's what we're known for, our sweetness. So come along, be part of Auckland, New Zealand, and just try that sweetness. Everybody that has come, Tonga, Fiji, they've it was like mate na ilavo, ndino taletu, vo taletu. And that's because I know I've had, sorry, I talk too much, but I'm just going to wrap up here now. But I remember in Fiji, Dr. T, a few senior civil servants came and said, why didn't we have this training when we started off our career? We're coming to retirement now. If only we could have done this, we would have done leadership differently. And there was a gentleman that stood up in the room in Nandi and said, I'm not from the Christian faith, because one thing that we're confronting about ourselves is that we profess to be believers, but that's not what people are seeing in the office. They're not seeing the Christian leader in the office. So this man stood up and said, I was hesitant, I was resistant, but I'm glad my organization paid for me to come. And now that I've finished this training, it has blown my mind. And he was one of the 3 top people in the bank And he said, wherever it's going to go in the Pacific, I'm going to be there, even if I have to pay for myself. And I believe that leadership is not just about investing in the vision, but it's being part of the vision. And so we'd like to invite all the friends from the Pacific diaspora and the people in our region. Let's come and be part of a leadership vision that's going to revolutionize the leadership landscape in the region. Vinaka, Dr. T, over to you.
Amen. Vinaka besar turang tahu. Now over to you, Pastor Vaka, and then we'll have Lani to share after Pastor Vaka. Vinaka tahu.
Yes, thank you. So looking forward to the LLS Leadership Conference, because I believe that there is leadership in every person, and it just needs to be stirred, stimulated, activated, and pulled out of them. I personally believe that when anyone step into their purpose in life, that leadership spirit in all of us comes out when we take personal responsibility for what we are placed here on earth to do, which I call purpose. So people talk a lot about identity, knowing who you are, but once you tap into purpose, why you're here, the big why question, that is a stimulant that stir leadership, because it all comes down to personal responsibility. So everyone in the Pacific is called to lead, whether you're born to be a leader or it's something that you acquire along the way. But there's a purpose for everyone, and everyone needs to connect with purpose, and that leadership spirit will come forth. So I'm so looking forward to seeing more people come to this conference and be activated and thrust into their purpose and destiny. So everyone who's out there that has not signed up, please sign up already, and we'll see you there.
Oh, Malo, Pastor Vaka. There you go. Yeah, for those of you who are listening in tonight, that's a really good event to attend. And I'm sure there's lots of our Kiwis as well, our friends in New Zealand listening to. So we'll definitely share the website and share also the posts on their socials so that we can all plan, bring your friends, your colleagues at work, and encourage everybody to come and attend. And I think one point that Romulo also mentioned there earlier was, when that gentleman said, why didn't he, know about this when they were, much younger? And again, with Pastor Vaka, I kind of created 3 Ps from what you've just shared: purpose, people, personal responsibility. That's beautiful. Yeah, how you've just made a call and I've just created it there for you. So connecting what you just shared with Romulo, now we'll ask Lani. Lani, what would be your call to our young people who are also listening in to be encouraged to come and join this event, especially our young boys and our young girls, whom that, they're looking up to us as leaders, or they can be leaders themselves in their own space.
Sorry, Dr. T, I don't mean to interrupt. It's David here from Brisbane. I might have to jump off because there's another Zoom conversation with other people. It's leadership.
That's
but
good.
I just want to say it was so nice to be on your platform, and to the team. So sorry, team, that I have to go. But one thing that really inspired me to be part of this team is it's everybody. It's not just Katrina, but like Romulo said, he's like a little brother to me. So I still need to make some Tongan pancake for him so that he can eat and become more Tongan in the future. But love you, Lani, and also Elias and Dr. T. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you, team.
Mother,
Okay, over to you, Lani.
Thank you, Dr. T. Oh my gosh, I think my mind just went awry when I heard Tongan pancakes. Okay, to our young people, please feel free to join us on this leadership journey. And for those who, even if you don't consider yourself young, we're all young at heart. If you're interested in personal growth and investing in yourself, please do sign up for LLS. The dates are again June 25th to 27 in Auckland, New Zealand. And I have a few messages from our technical team. Special shout out Dr. T, the gentleman that Romulo shared about, who sold icebox to go to Tonga. He's from Nandronga. So there's a few of us who have connections to Nandronga. So they have a special shout out to the workers in Kandavu. We're going to New Zealand. Since you're all from small New Zealand, please do come along to LLS in Auckland. And special shout out to the workers in the US. If you can't come, they're asking you to sponsor a relative. Sponsor a relative from Fiji or sponsor a relative from New Zealand to come and attend the LLS from June 25th to 27th. And our technical team asked us also to talk a little bit about our experience. So I applied for my visa last month. I applied on a Tuesday and I got it by Friday. So it was Tuesday after 9 p.m. So less than 5 days, I got my visa, for those of you who may be worried about that. And in Fiji, as it was the case in Tonga, up until the week of the LLS, people were still registering. So in New Zealand, if you're thinking that you're coming from outside New Zealand, unfortunately, that will not work, right? Unless you have a visa and you have lots of savings stored away, right? But if you want to join us in June, please register early because you have to apply for your visa. And also we need to pay for our airfares and for our accommodation. I think that would be the messages from the technical team. And their reminder again is the conference is very affordable. New Zealand $250 for those of us coming from outside New Zealand, and New Zealand $450 for those of you who are coming in from Aotearoa. So yes, please join us in June if you can. Otherwise, Elias has helped build our website, www.lls.nz, or otherwise you can follow updates on our Facebook page, Legacy Leadership Symposium, if you are unable to join us. And thank you again, Dr. T.
Vinaka, vakalevu. Thank you to our to your technical team. I'm so glad that you are listening in, and I can see some of the comments coming in. Thank you for all the hard work behind the scene, because your hard work, ensures that the last two events worked really well, and I'm sure the one in New Zealand will be just as successful as the previous two. And to the Tovu for who made the ice blocks, I'm sure the ice blocks must have been so tasty that all the Kandavu girls must have bought your ice blocks. So Vinaka vakalevu, if you're gonna make some more ice blocks, let me know, and we'll be happy to sponsor so many of us to buy your ice block. So Vinaka vakalevu, and thank you, Lani, for also reminding those of you who are listening in about the visa. Yeah, so if they can get it within 5 days, I'm sure you can as well. So prepare in advance. Romulo has got his visa. He's smiling, and so has Lani. So the others who are listening in, start planning now and start to apply it. Yes, the sooner the better. Okay, wonderful. And then for the websites, definitely we'll share them on on the page. I'll be happy to share it on my side. So maybe I'll pass it over back to you, Katrina, for any last comments, and then I'll open it up to the panel for any last word of encouragement to our audience. Vinaka, Katrina.
Thank you, Dr. T. And I think the partners have said it all, but just encouraging everyone, join us. The LLS, or Legacy Leadership Symposium, is about the marketplace. It's really about anyone who has a hunger to learn more about leadership, and also, to better lead themselves. So encouraging everyone from the Pacifica, and Lani has already mentioned, we also take sponsors. Sponsor someone from one of the small island nations, US, if you're tuning in. This is all part of investment that our partners have talked about. But other than that, very grateful, Dr. T, for the opportunity. And I'm hoping to see you there, Dr. T. You never know. You did say you've got 3 months. You'll be on leave, so you just never know. But other than that, we're very grateful for this opportunity, and everyone who's tuning in. Ofalahiatu Lolomas. We're just looking forward to this symposium, and also we're just looking forward to what God is going to do in bringing us and uniting us all together. Malo apito, Ofalahiatu from the Kingdom of Tonga. Malo, Dr. T.
Yes, thank you so much, Malo. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you to the wonderful team that are here representing the LLS. And so we just wish you all the very best with all your preparation for the event in June. So for our audience, it's going to be from the 25th to the 27th of June 2025. So Vinaka vakalevu, I bid you goodbye. But if there's anybody else who would like to say something else, this is your last chance. Romulo, Elias, Lani.
Naka Dr. T, again, we've said this. I know that you probably get tired of hearing it from us, but thank you. It's wonderful, Maramatau, to have your platform. And yes, we're all looking forward to selling ice blocks or whatever, but we also look forward to the whole of Kandavu. The whole of Kandavu needs to come. Once Kandavu comes, that's going to be the it. It's going to be revolution for Fiji. But the ice blocks from outside of the country, of course, is very sweet, and just like the fruits, as we've talked about. But I just, as we come to the end of this talanoa, we love hearing how you engage the diaspora. That in itself, for us, that's a sign of leadership in itself. And you do this out of your own good heart, how you try and keep us united and connected in talking about the things that matter to us. So by bringing us onto your platform, you're extending the good wishes also that we've come to expect from this platform. So thank you, Dr. T. Just to end, I posted this yesterday after looking at a few issues of leadership back home. I posted this, that experience and qualification can put you in a position, but it is your character and your integrity that will keep you there, or that will distinguish you. And character and integrity are crucial leadership values. And, I'm sure we're going to be unpacking this a little bit more in New Zealand. But what I'm so excited about New Zealand is that there's nuggets. There's going to be nuggets. It will be in the overflow style. And I'm challenging all the listeners to, if you haven't thought about it, I know, it might be thinking last minute or all that, come to Auckland. It's going to not only be, it's a great city of sales with Elias there to welcome all us to New Zealand. But, it's an extension of Kandavu. So why not? If Kandavu is beautiful and you claim to be beautiful, then come along and let's see what New Zealand also will be able to offer us. But above all, it's the people in the room. And I am just looking forward to rubbing shoulders with great leaders in the room that will ultimately change the leadership landscape of the region. And Dr. T, it will be unfair if you don't come. After talking and seeing your Tau from Serua talking to you, I don't know how you're going to do this, but I'm so looking forward. I'm so looking forward to seeing you in New Zealand and meeting you in person. And that for me will be, that's a confirmation. Keto sanga inruka, may Serua. Ya kevkando ya lina maramani kandavu. Ya keto se wini tinga, keto se nganga tinga. Nanumdu turanga tau may Serua. Na wali Dr. T, ni kalungata ti go irana wekanda, erasema wati manakamikua. And certainly we wish all our leaders and looking forward to seeing you in New Zealand a blessed evening. And thank you for having us today. Naka, bless you.
Elias, you would like to say something?
I'd like to
unmute.
Absolutely. I'd love to thank you again, Dr. T, for hosting us and having this great conversation. And it's been a fireside chat. That's what I've seen across here today. I've had requests for hammocks. I've had requests for waterbeds and jacuzzis. So we will be planning everything to make this a real opportunity for people to come across and to be blessed whilst they're here in Aotearoa. And I know that at the end of the day, it's about being in the room, as Dr. Romulo has just said, that we know that we have that really, really important element of breaking bread with each other. And that is where the magic happens, when we sit there together and we share our thoughts, and then we leave a legacy for the next generation. And again, as we say in Aotearoa and Maori, kia kaha, stay strong, and we will enjoy hosting you all this year.
Thank you so much. Kia ora, Vinaka, vakalevu. Again, to all of you, for giving your time away from your busy schedule. And all of you are such busy individuals, but we are so grateful. The comments that are coming through, I was just skimming through some of the comments that has come through. We just want to say congratulations to all of you for organizing this wonderful event. And you never know, Romulo's dream might come true, that you might see me walking across the Auckland Harbour Bridge. Thank you so much, Katrina, and thank you to Debra Tuibau for making the connections for all of us today. And I wish you all a very good evening. Vinaka.
Naka Dr. T, ni mo de.
Malo, Ofatu, God bless.
Vinaka.
Naka Dr. T, ni mo
Thank you.
Well,
Yes. Wow. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's a wonderful sharing from the LLS group, the Legacy Leadership Symposium team. They will be hosting their third event in Auckland, New Zealand. And this will be an amazing event. They had the first meeting in the Kingdom of Tonga, and then they moved over to Fiji. Now they're going across the Pacific over to New Zealand. So for those of you who are listening in, put in the dates, June 25 to 27, 2025, and we will put the website links and the social media pages for you to follow and to register for this wonderful event. Thanking Katrina, going through the list here for our wonderful guests who are here today. Pastor David Vaka from Brisbane, Australia. Katrina Mau-Fatiaki from Nuku'alofa in Tonga. Elias Canaris from Auckland, New Zealand. Romulo Nayacalevu, my turangatau in Canberra, Australia. And Lani Rauqeuqe connecting in from Suva in Fiji. So what a wonderful an hour and a half or so of talking about leadership and empowering our nations in the Pacific to come together and empower one another, and also encourage our younger people, younger generations, to look at themselves as great leaders to be in the future. Vinaka vakalevu for listening in, and I wish you all a very good evening, and it's a goodbye from me here in Los Angeles, in California. Ni samba de manta. And shout out to all the technical team of LLS and also to the volunteers as well. Thank you for your contribution to this wonderful organization and the event in New Zealand. Vinaka.